So let's try to take some audience questions here. Please drop them in. We've got one from Mike, and I cannot believe that this is his actual last name because it looks like Youngblood. But if you have the pronunciation of the famous psychologist and philosopher. But here's the question: with some players coming back to health, does Minnesota have a prayer of sneaking into the playoffs? And Zach, is that something that would be even preferable?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if they miss the playoffs in terms of helping their draft position because they don't have their draft pick. Really, the only thing that matters is Utah getting into the playoffs, because if Utah isn't in the lottery, Minnesota gets their draft pick from the Al Jefferson trade. So I think there is a slight chance they can make the playoffs if a couple of teams falter, but I don't think it's very likely. They're 8-10 right now, and they look good. They're 4-2 in the last 6 games, but they still have a lot of road games to play, and I'm not convinced that this team can win on the road.
I'm gonna have a confession, you guys. I completely ignored the question. I totally checked my email. I got an email from Zach Lowe, and it completely distracted me. I was like, "Ooh, an email from Zach Lowe. Ah, I got to read this."
What did he have to say? You have to read it out loud now.
Yeah, I don't think that. Let me just quickly scan it and see if I'm telling tales out of school. Basically, he said that the theory behind it, without giving too much in the way of specifics, in the email, is that if my crazy idea to ban free throws were to happen, it could be an issue with the players' union, and the players' union might not like it. And that's not something that I necessarily thought about at the time, but that would be interesting if the NBA players themselves were pro free throw, which, say that 3 times fast. It's very difficult, guys.
Yeah, that is a really interesting point. I mean, I guess any rule change would have to go through the players to some degree in the CBA. Or could they just do that?
No, I don't think it does. I think the owners in the competition committee decide what is what on the court. The players don't say we need more replays or we need 8 seconds to 10 seconds to get the ball across. They have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but they do sneak stuff in like that to the CBA.
I would love this is where they took their stand. Like, they more or less caved when it came to the CBA, but now free throws, no, that's the last straw. You know, we're protesting the season. That would be, and I would be angry at them. I was very forgiving. I was an apologist for them all through when it came to making money. But on this free throw issue, I'm going to be hard line with the owners. Free throws.
I have to say,
banned.
I kind of just have my own rumor in my head. I think Ethan secretly hates true shooting percentage, and so he wants to ban free throws.
Well, I had to experience Maggette on the Golden State Warriors, so I think that's when I learned to hate true shooting percentage. You have some scarring experiences with that advanced statistic. Exactly. Look, I'm just trying to save Andres Biedrins and his career. That's what I'm trying to do here.
Oh, poor
all
Andres,
of your theories are just trying to help Andres Biedrins be a competent player, which is impossible because he's awful.
You figured it out.
He's falling apart. This is actually something I thought about a bunch when I watched Amir Johnson last night, or maybe 2 nights ago, who is the big man for the Raptors and seems to be making some strides, especially defensively, and especially in positioning and being in the right place at the right time. And this comes from AGR Basketball. Is JaVale McGee a valuable piece for a franchise going forward for the Wiz, or does he need a change? Now, JaVale is someone who is clearly has every tool you could ask for. He's got decent hand-eye coordination. He's super long. He can jump out the gym.
He has a
Why
wrench.
can't he be what DeAndre Jordan is? And more specifically, why isn't he what Amir Johnson is becoming, which is someone who is even more raw than McGee, not quite as big, but is kind of becoming a real defensive stalwart. And I think that coaching has something to do with it, but I also think McGee doesn't seem to learn. Not even from, I don't mean this in terms of like he'll be beaten by the same play twice in one game. I'm telling you, he'll be beaten by the same play over and over throughout the season. And some people just have trouble progressing and learning on the court. And I wonder if he's just got some sort of ceiling there. And it seems sort of weird to even think about at this point in his career. but I'd be real nervous about giving him the kind of money that even DeAndre Jordan got.
I think with McGee, it's like it's not. I don't even want to say a basketball IQ thing. I think it's just an ability to adapt to the game in front of him. Like it's a lot like Anthony Randolph, where it doesn't matter how many times he makes a good play, you rarely see him make the same good play 2-3 times in a row, because I just don't think he either recognizes the same situation or adapts to create that same situation multiple times in a row.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. Somebody in the chat down here said that maturity is his problem. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that we sometimes equate defensive intelligence with somebody having everything together and being of high character, and that's not necessarily how it goes. These are split-second decisions, adrenaline is pumping, and some guys just lack the ability to learn under those circumstances. David Lee, for instance, I hate on becoming the guy who references the Warriors all the time. You guys really have to break me of that habit. But David
Especially because you hate the Warriors so much.
We'll just shame you every time. We'll just shame you. But see, we don't want to give you attention because then that's going to make you do it more.
Okay, well, David Lee, for instance, very intelligent guy, very nice guy. I'm sure he works hard. But when you look at his defense, he just makes awful decisions. And I think that's just who he is. And that intelligence doesn't translate to what he does. Gerald Green's mom not Gerald Green, that was a Freudian slip. JaVale McGee's mom could well be right about JaVale, but that doesn't mean that JaVale is going to learn.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. What I can say is if you don't amnesty Blatch and you give McGee $11 million or $12 million a year, you're paying $20 million out of a 1/3 of your cap to two guys who are just really ill-suited to play together. And this is one of these things for the Wizards going forward, is I think that they were hoping that once they got Wall, it would all sort of come together. And what they didn't realize is that bad investments from the past will continue to haunt them.